hours of exclusive content, Q&As, Discord integration, and the ability to say, I'm keeping an angry little Canadian man fed and sheltered. Where else can you get all that for $5? Support the habit at patreon.com/doseofbuckley. Tradition's gotta start somewhere, right? Last year I looked at Billboard's year-end list of songs and said, everyone looks forward to my worst songs list, but what if I also looked at the mathematical list of top songs of a year and shit on those too? And people seem to enjoy it, so let's do it again. The Billboard year-end Hot 100 is calculated based on performance from roughly the first week of December to the final week of November. 12 months of sales and streaming data. The idea that anyone pays for music. Yeah, it's most likely just streaming data. Again, this wasn't someone's best songs, but they are the songs that got played the most by North Americans, suggesting that someone must really like these. So, will I? I think we all know the answer, but maybe there's some surprises in here. Number 10 was Elton John and Dua Lipa, Cold Heart. Rocket Man is easily the lamest Elton song there is, with Crocodile Rock, of course, being the best. So, this and the collab that he did with Britney Spears reimagining Tiny Dancer did nothing for me. They're both kinda wet shit strained through a colander. He did an entire album of these basically called The Lockdown Sessions. And normally, the very cynical me would say, he's just trying to cash in on the success of modern artists, but I don't think so. What would he have to gain by that? He's retiring from touring by the end of this year. Those tickets are probably already sold and have been for a long time. This does nothing for him. Maybe it gets a few 16-year-olds to stream some of his old shit on Spotify, get himself a few extra pennies. But I think he's given the rub to new artists like Dua Lipa. I mean, not literally rubbing her, she's not really his type, even if she should be everyone's type, but I think he sincerely wanted to work with some younger artists, and maybe let them enjoy a taste of the old Elton magic. Did it work? I guess a little. This was the 10th best performing song of 2022. Then again, Dua was number 1 on this chart last year, so maybe she should have asked if she could sing Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Number 9 was Kodak Black, Super Gremlin. We could have been superstars. Remember when we were jacking cars? Now it's not safe for you. You switch like a pussy little bitch. I don't even know if I'd heard this song before I made this list, and somehow it's the 9th most popular song of 2022. A certain rapper who put out like 40 songs in the last 16 months and didn't even end up this high on the chart once has to be a little frustrated about that. So, this song is a diss track, apparently about a guy named Jack Boy from the group Sniper Gang, who Kodak Black is now calling a pussy and a lil bitch. If I told you this was actually a song about two people arguing in an Xbox lobby over Call of Duty in 2014, would you question that? Jack Boy from Sniper Gang's a little bitch! And then 20 other 14-year-olds yell as many swear words and slurs as possible over top of each other. Put a beat underneath it, give it a dumb name, and you got yourself a hit rap song. Number 8 was Justin Bieber, Ghost. I want you to know that if I can't be close to you, I'll settle for the ghost of you. I miss you more than life. So, this is a song about Bieber wishing he could fuck a ghost. It is! Look at the lyrics! Youngblood, which he's 28, he shouldn't be using that word. Young people think that there's always tomorrow, but tomorrow's here, and he now misses this person's touch. But he can't cross the bridge that she crossed, so if he can't be close to her, he'll settle for the ghost of her. He misses her more than life. She's dead. He wants to fuck her ghost. Well, Bieber, when you're done, know that that ain't ectoplasm all over your sheets. Weird song to say the least. Ignoring the lyrics, it's just kind of middling. Musically, I have nothing really good or bad to say about it. I think the nicest thing I could say about it is it's the type of neutral noise they could play in a dentist's office and people wouldn't be wishing for the drill instead. Number 7 was Lotto, Big Energy. I did an entire musical autopsy on this one already, which the shitheads at Sony blocked once for a few days, which is why I'm not putting another clip here. But you can go check that one out and listen to me spend 8 minutes telling you why it's awful. Lotto was trying to capitalize on the big dick energy meme, trend, whatever you want to call it, except she couldn't say dick on the radio, so it became big energy. Recording different lyrics for a song so it can play on the radio and for families, to me, does not scream big dick energy. In fact, it kind of screams corporate cuck energy. This is also our second of 3 songs on the list that heavily sample an older song. In this case, Mariah Carey's 1995 hit, Fantasy, which, for you number nerds out there, was also number 7 on Billboard's 1995 year-end list. But it continues to prove that people really would rather listen to older music. Or, at the very least, older music butchered by new artists. And to further illustrate that point, number 6 was Jack Harlow, First Class.
I've been throw up the sex in and I can put you in.
There's something really funny about the fact that we finally get to a song that was actually released in 2022, and it samples or interpolates a song from 2006. I was introduced to Jack Harlow's music via his 2020 hit, What's Poppin', where I made fun of him for ripping off Lil Dicky's gimmick. The same gimmick that all these kinda ugly white rappers do, where they rap about nerdy shit, throw in some old cartoon references or whatever, and then still pretend that people want to have sex with them. In this song, Jack just raps about being rich, having sex, being famous. No gimmicky nonsense. No, let's see if I can toss in a reference about Steven Universe or some fucking horse shit. He somehow made himself even more generic. Maybe that's why this song was so popular. Anyone can imagine themselves being Jack Harlow because he's such a fucking mannequin. Number 5 was Ed Sheeran, Shivers. This is a real virgin anthem right here. It sounds like the guy's never been near a woman at all. First, he talks about how he's never kissed a mouth that tastes like strawberries and something more. And then he says he wants to kiss her eyes and drink that smile. Like I just picture him sucking on her lips like a juice box and then kissing her in the eyeball. Now, when you look at Ed Sheeran, that makes the whole thing plausible. But then you find out he has a wife and a kid and you go, oh, Jesus. I guess all you need to overcome being ugly is to be a rich, famous singer. Musically, the song's fine. Upbeat, but largely forgettable. Kinda sounds like Justin Timberlake album filler, which might be the biggest compliment I've ever given an Ed Sheeran song. You're welcome, Ed. Number 4 was Adele, Easy on Me. This one sound familiar? It was on my list of worst songs 2 years ago. In the worst songs of 2021, I explain how this song was her leaving a message for her child when he's old enough to understand, saying, hey, go easy on me if I fucked up. I was young and I never had a chance to make choices. Suggesting her fame was thrust upon her, that at the age of 23, she can't be blamed for having a child with a guy she then stayed with for 7 years, married, and then divorced. Oh, she was just a little baby with no control. 23. Anyway, outside of all that, it's so fucking boring. The fact that people streamed this so much so long after it had already peaked tells you everything that you need to know about the state of music in 2022. People felt this was their best option. The auditory equivalent of watching grass grow in slow motion. Number 3 was the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber, Stay.
I do the same thing I told you that I never would. I told you I changed, even when I knew I never could. Know that I can't find nobody else as good as you. I need you to stay, need you to stay.
Ah, now here we go. A nice little upbeat number about guilting someone into staying in a horribly toxic relationship. He says he lied to her, told her he'd change, told her he'd stop doing these awful things, but He hasn't changed, he's not going to stop doing these awful things, but he can't find anyone as good as her, and he needs her to stay, saying, "I'll be fucked up if you can't be right here," as if it's her fault if this guy can't get his shit together. This is some psycho shit right here. I don't know what this says about Aussies, but the Australian Recording Industry Association gave it Best Pop Song in 2021, and the Australian Performing Rights Association gave it Best Song in 2022. Struth! This really speaks to me. I used to think this Bieber was a bloody dill, but this is Bonza! Oi! Get me another tinny of Great Northern, you can't! And don't even think of fucking leaving! Number 2 was Harry Styles, As It Was.
In this world, it's just us. You know it's not the same as it was.
This is only the second song actually released in 2022 on this list of the top performing songs of 2022. Here we have 28-year-old Harry getting nostalgic, contemplative, I don't know, talking about how his life, their lives, our lives, aren't the same as it was. Yeah, things change. It's such a nothing statement. You know it's not the same as it was. The world is constantly changing. Your life is constantly changing. Time is a straight line moving forward. There's nothing overly insightful about any of this. But his audience of kids who grew up listening to him, who are now 20-somethings themselves, eat this shit up. Yeah, it's so true. Things will never be the same as they were. I'm just starting to realize this now that I'm not a fetus anymore. You're so wise, guy who once said we have to live while we're young. If you ever get tired of music, Harold, I see a bright future for you in writing horoscopes for idiots who read the most generic shit ever, like, "You're currently unsure of yourself in matters of love, but clarity is coming soon," and go, "Oh my god, I can't believe how accurately this describes my life!" And Billboard's number 1 song of 2022 was a song from 2020. It's Glass Animals, Heat Waves.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been faking me out. Can't make you happier now.
I just don't get this one at all. I guess this song was popular on TikTok because everything that gets popular because of TikTok, but I honestly don't know what to even say about this song other than there's nothing to say about it. If this song were a color, it'd be beige. If it were a flavor, it would be plain. Not even vanilla. It's the plain Lay's potato chips of songs. A mid-tempo song about love and loss that, honestly, every time I hear, I go, wait, who does this song again? And if someone asked me to hum a few bars of Heat Waves, even after writing this video, even after hearing it 50 times on the radio last year, I don't think I could do it. In fact, maybe that's why it's so popular. People kept listening to it because they'd already forgotten they'd heard it. So here's the thing. Generally, every year has a big song that really defines it. Songs that were either released that year or got really big that year, where you go, "Oh yeah, I remember that song. It was huge. Thing was fucking everywhere." And typically, that song ends up being the year-end number 1 on Billboard. Was Usher's Yeah the song of 2004? Yeah! 2008 was Flow Ride Is Low, a low point for the decade. 2011, Adele's Rollin' in the Deep. Like 2011 Adele herself in a narrow aisle at the grocery store, you couldn't avoid her. Boo, yeah, I know. 2014 was Pharrell's Happy. 2015 was Uptown Funk. 2017 probably should have been Despacito, but Ed Sheeran's Shape of You got number 1. 2019 was Old Town Road. 2020 was Blinding Lights. But what was 2022's song? Did it have one? It's not Heat Waves, that's absurd. No one will ever look back and go, "Oh yeah, that song? That was my 2022 right there." It's none of these songs. These all just feel like leftovers after Thanksgiving dinner. Uneaten food from a previous meal. Every one of these songs is the musical equivalent of cold turkey and reheated mashed potatoes. So again, what was 2022's song? Well, if listeners keep this shit up and the charts continue to be this stale, maybe we'll find out in 2024.